All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Voices of Chronic Pain. As you can see, I am in that tiny window down at the bottom of the screen. Hi. And we have a guest with us today, our very first interview for the channel. And her name is Vivian Ibarra, and she is a member of my fibromyalgia support group on Facebook. After much and many attempts, because I can't switch the camera back and forth once it's recording, I was like, duh, it's down there. Huh, we don't have to switch it back and forth. Or not see when I think I hit the record button and it doesn't work. So, yeah, lots of tries. Anyway, so you'll be able to see me down there at least as I'm asking questions instead of just being this phantom voice off camera. So, Vivian, fourth time is the charm. I know. So, if you could just, like I said, just speak up so everyone can hear you and start again. By saying a little bit about yourself. I know you to save you the trouble. I know you said that you were a proofreader and teach, like you taught English as a second language or Spanish as a second language. Which one?
Yeah, Spanish is my first language.
I'm just guessing by your accent that Spanish is your first language. So, and you did proofreading and editing as well, and as your second language stuff. And I know that you suffer from traumatic brain injury, and you have the fibromyalgia. And so I'm wondering, first of all, what was it like? You didn't you say you got the traumatic brain injury from a car accident?
No, I still at work.
Oh, okay. We have a couple of those in the group, and so my fibro, I mix stuff up. And my mild traumatic brain injury, it's like duh. So, okay. So what was life like after your diagnoses came? How dramatically did stuff change for you?
Well, I never heard of fibromyalgia before.
Right.
Um, but everything started when I had the brain injury.
Mm-hmm.
My neurologist told me that after a year with a one migraine that lasted 365 days, and there was no way to get rid of it, I started to feel pain like in my elbows and my hands, legs, then numbness, and then the sciatica, and then, my shoulder, my neck. And he told me that was neuropathic pain because I was on pain for so long for the migraines that my system was just like it didn't know where to go. So
That probably was the case, So how, okay, so from going, I'm guessing, working full time to,
yeah.
Suddenly really being unable to work because of the brain injury stuff, in addition to all this chronic, the migraines and the crazy pain cropping up everywhere in your body. So how hard of an adjustment was that for you?
It took me a whole year to realize that I was not the person I used to be before my brain injury. That was my first step for recovery.
Did you have personality changes and stuff? Because I know that's really common in traumatic brain injury, that you literally become like a different person.
Yes, actually they call it self loss.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happened to me.
Were those permanent changes?
I never been back to the one I was before, so yeah, this is forever. And on top of that, personal that I consider really big because I lost consciousness when I hit my head, and when I opened my eyes, I didn't know that I was unconscious, but it was like a blink. I blinked and I was me, and then when I opened my eyes, I had no idea who I was. It's not that I didn't know my name or where I came from or anything.
Right.
It was more like personality changes. Like, I didn't like the food that I used to like. I didn't like my clothes or my shoes because it wasn't me.
So it's kind of like walking into a stranger's closet and being like, where did this stuff come
Yeah.
from?
Yes. So I was wearing always the same clothes that I considered that were more appropriate to the new me.
Right.
And my hair was black, pitch black.
I saw that in your profile picture for Skype. I was like, wow, because I've only known you as a blonde.
Well, that came with a brain injury because I was lost. Every time I saw myself in the mirror, I didn't know who I was. I didn't recognize that person. I know it was me, but it was like looking at a different person.
Yeah, we have another member in the group who has gone through the exact same stuff, and I tried to kind of counsel her through a lot of like the really tough times with that, and a lot of middle of the night cry sessions when she, just was really struggling with trying to figure out who she was because of all those missing memories. And she had, has two small children and is married, and just not having any previous memories of stuff that they had and how horrible that was, and just feeling so lost and not wanting to accept that wasn't coming back for her. So, I have that understanding, and I often have wondered, because I have unofficially diagnosed but mentioned by my doctor that he thinks I have it, mild traumatic brain injury, because I've had 12 concussions in my life, and the last couple really affected my short-term memory stuff. I started having horrible short-term memory loss, can't do timeline stuff anymore at all. Like, if someone says, oh, well, it was a while ago, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Wasn't that just like a couple weeks ago? And they'll be like, no, it was 3 months. Oh, news to me. But also, I have been hearing so much from family, especially, how, they think I'm being nasty and mean all the time or whatever, and I don't perceive myself being that way. Or, if I try to rethink about my actions or what was said, I'm like, what was wrong with that? And they take horrible offense all the time to all that stuff. And granted, I'm brutally honest as a person, and I don't, mince words. But I never try to hurt anybody with what I say at any given time. But people still take that stuff wrong, I guess. And, I even had somebody say to me recently, well, you have no friends except for your online friends, and that's only because they don't know you. And I'm like, oh my God, they know me probably better than most of my own, family and stuff too. And I don't present myself any different to them than I do anyone else. So, and they still like me. So it's whatever. But I think that, my doctor has said he won't send me I have to go to a neuropsychologist or psychiatrist to get mad testing done before I could have that as an official diagnosis. Whilst he thinks I probably do have it, that I've kind of adapted life around it, so he doesn't see the necessity to send me to this guy. Unless something, I have even another concussion involving seriously more damage done. I'm like, well, how much is it going to take? I notice a big difference in things I can remember and names, places, and I used to be so organized, and I'm such a scatterbrain now comparatively. I notice a difference, but anyway. So, what has been your experience with people adapting to you with your chronic pain issues as they've come about? And, I know for me, I always had, all my best friends were always like work friends. And I didn't really have a circle of friends outside of work because I was always working. So, but that was where I had all my relationships with people was work. So once I stopped working, they disappeared. So was that, similar to your experience too? That, and that, was isolation and stuff a big issue?
Totally. Isolation was the first thing that I had to suffer. All my coworkers just disappeared. They were my friends. I just kept one of them, but the rest, they just left, I don't know if because I was all the time, just talking about the freaking brain injury, or, you know, or just Americans don't like to deal with sick people. I think that's
That is a big
that's
part of it. Here, there's such a push to be like in the 80s and 90s, because I've always, lived in America. And in the 80s, it became really popular to, especially as a woman, that you can have it all, you can do it all, and you can be Superwoman and, be in the best shape and be beautiful and have a
yeah,
family and work full time plus and still be beautiful afterward. And, so that became the norm. And in the 90s, that started mellowing out a little, but still the expectation of being Superwoman never faded. If anything, it became more of a push to prove yourself as a woman in the workplace, that you could do the same job as men and get paid the same, and you had to bust your ass to do it, but you did it. And I experienced that too with, I had my daughter in the late 90s, and I was going to school full time and working full time, and I took care of my disabled mom. And looking back, I have no clue how I did it, but I did. And that was my experience too, is that just everybody once, and I've gotten directly accused of that, is that's all you do is talk about your pain. Well,
yeah,
when something goes wrong that bad, that encompasses your life and changes you so completely, how can you not? And the people you think you should be able to talk to about it, who will be there for you and have your back, they run in the other direction.
yes.
And,
Because
so,
people, they live their, at their own rhythm, and unfortunately we cannot go that fast, you know, or I don't understand things that fast as I used to. So people start to get like annoying, you know,
they get
and
frustrated with you very easily, yeah.
yeah. I have the fortune of having a fiance who is an angel, and he had has been with me through this and before, and
Did he know
he's
you?
patient.
Were you guys together before the head injury stuff?
Yes,
So he
yes,
knew the healthy you.
yes. He knows how I am. When I'm in my best, but he understands that I'm not lazy. I just can do some things, you know, or that I can, you know, pay attention to something because I get lost. That's why I don't like to go places, because if I go to see a movie and, the noise, the colors, the lights, people talking and all that,
It's
it's like,
overwhelming.
okay,
It's
yeah,
overwhelming.
yeah. I need to pay attention to one thing at a time.
Yeah, I have
Now,
found that as well with my head injury stuff too, that I can't concentrate like I used to. I used to be an avid reader and read constantly. And now I used to like keep track of how many books I read. At the height of my, like 150 books a year was normal for me. And now I'm lucky to do, 2 or 3 books a year, because I just can't stay focused long enough to get through it. It
yeah.
takes me forever to read one. And it's so frustrating. So how's your family
Well,
been through all of this?
well,
Do you
I
have family here in the U.S., first of all, I guess?
no, I just have a kid. He's living in California. He's going to school there. Um, at the beginning, I I could say the first year he was living with us. I think the first year he was like, "Mom, it was just a knock in your head. I don't know why you're making such a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Just move, get out of bed, do something." But then
Excuse me.
he came back for vacations, I think, and I think that he understood, the amount of shit that I got going
Right.
on, and now he became more, you know, empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
But
How old is
other
he?
people, he's 26.
Okay. So he's an adult now.
And
So how old was he when all this started for you?
he was 23.
So he was still
20.
technically an adult, but not
Yeah,
completely
yeah, but
a
because
young
he was
adult.
a rugby player and he got a lot of concussions, he, he never felt bad or ill or anything. He was like, oh, it was just a knock in your head. You just
Get up and keep going, yeah.
life goes on.
I mean, I used to be that way with the first, I would say, probably 9 or 10 concussions I had. You may feel crappy for a day or two, less, you got a headache or a sore and whatever, but that was kind of it, and it would go on, and I never noticed a difference in what I could remember and whatever. But the last one had me in bed for 3 days. I could not form coherent sentences. I could barely speak at all. I just wanted to sleep the entire 3 days. I didn't go to the doctor because every other time I did, they would just kind of say, oh yeah, you got a concussion, go home and rest and take it easy, and that would be it. So I was like, well, I'm not going to go sit in the emergency room for 3 hours to be told to do what I'm doing. So it wasn't documented as far as the medical record. Looking back, I probably should have gone just for that sake, but I wasn't thinking because I couldn't. But after that I started seeing the changes of, the memory stuff and all that, and even now, it's probably been, timeline, here we go, God, I'm terrible with timelines, I don't know, maybe a couple years, I am so not positive, but, my daughter was still home at the time, so maybe a little bit longer, I'm not sure, anyway, and since then, I definitely see still how it affects me. And it's worse when I get tired. I don't know about you, but if I'm tired, I stutter more. I lose track of what I'm saying more. I lose words all the time. And it's even worse when I'm overtired. Then I start really just like tongue-tied and yeah.
Or you get that staring at the space, like you're trying to find your brain out there.
Yeah, and it's not coming. Or I have it in my head of what I'm going to say, but then when I go to speak it, it's gone. And I can't I can't find it again. It's gotten to where my daughter could recognize that in me. Like, she'll be like, you're really tired, aren't you? And I said, well, yeah, kind of. And, so she knows at least that part of it. And she's seen the changes, but...
I don't know, in my case, when I stare at, the ceiling, I think that I'm trying to get my brain back. Like, it's there, and I know it's there, and I want it back, but it doesn't come. And then...
But here's a scientific fact for you. Here's a scientific fact for you. When you kind of roll your eyes up in your head in whatever direction you're rolling in, you're trying to access that part of your brain. Like, that's what is physically happening when you do that, where you're kind of like, and you're kind of rolling your eyes back and forth, looking upwards. You're not just staring at the ceiling. They've scientifically